February the 26th, 2025. Guys, there's a lot going on around the world right now. Watching a couple of different things. Right now, it is almost 3 p.m. Central Time here in the South, and it is 81 degrees. Not a cloud in the sky. It's beautiful. A little bit warm if you're active outside, but what a blessing to have this type weather. You guys north of here, you're getting some rain, some colder weather. And just hang in there. Spring is just around the corner, guys, so don't let that get to you. Now, here what we're watching is, of course, the Trump administration working with Doge and really digging out a lot of rats out of different nests and a lot of our money. Hope we get a lot of that back. Really, I think they should declare no taxes till everything that can be retrieved is retrieved. Everything has been forfeited by the politicians and or money people involved with the ripoffs. Everything they have put back into it, no taxes until that's paid. And they're talking about doubling our Social Security tax, which is a lot better than what it is now, but it should be about tripled or 4 times that for the amount that we paid in. We're going to see how that works out. The other thing that's not going so smoothly is there's a problem between the new Attorney General Pam Bundy and Paula Luna, is that her name? New senator. Now they're both working in the same department, but Pam Bundy is in charge of declassifying anything. Now Luna, or DeLuna, whatever her name is, it's not just her. It's a couple of other Republicans and some Democrats now are saying, well, you've said a few days back that you had the papers on your desk and you were getting ready to review them, and it was going to be very transparent. So when we see people from both sides crying foul, something's going on with someone or some people, of course, in the Epstein files themselves, who actually participated in it, things like that. He was well known around the world. Now, you cannot forget, when you're looking at all of the different ins and outs of this Epstein situation, he was heavily involved in Israeli intelligence. Matter of fact, when he first got in trouble, the people that were trying to prosecute him were told to stand down and let Israeli intelligence handle it. So something in there is involved. We know it was a big honeypot to trap a lot of politicians and businessmen into nefarious situations where they could be blackmailed, right? Anyway, why is Pam Bundy not reviewed it yet? Again, I think I did the video Sunday, maybe somewhere over the weekend, maybe early Monday, I can't remember. But she said she had it, where they were going to be transparent with it. It's not just that. You got the JFK files, other things, Seth Rich files. But will we see that transparency? And I understand where the frustration is coming from. What is she hiding? It's supposed to be bam on the desk. I'm going to read it to you. And so we don't know what was found, but something was, right? Now, that's here. Got a lot of different things happening. They got the budget approved. I think after we put up the live video yesterday, guys, a lot of you watched it. They delayed the vote on the budget, but quickly came back. I didn't go back live stream. I didn't know about it till it had actually happened, and got the budget forwarded. I don't know if it's complete, but it was moved forward. It may be complete. Anyway, so that's going on. And again, we've got to recoup that money. Guys, we have to take the mind frame that we have been ripped off tremendously. Many of us already have it. And we have to hold the politicians in charge accountable. Not because they did it, but because they should be trying to recover it. We need to be paid back. That's only fair. Any business in the world would be run that way. And if any of these politicians think that ripping someone off and maybe paying them back, like Mike Johnson says, he really doesn't think we should get any money back, just pay down the national debt. I disagree with that. Work a deal out with the debt, pay it off over time. We're going to be getting a lot of money in, but pay back the people now. And I think the reason Johnson is like that is because he's a rhino snake and wants to keep the war machine going. Anyway, we got that problem. But in the Middle East, which is not being talked about enough right now, but things, because it's a biblical place, regardless if you're Israeli or if you're European or American, whatever it is, because it's a biblical place with prophetic prophecies about what's going to happen there, it's very good to pay attention to what's there. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm not Jewish. I'm a Christian. But I believe in what was said, especially when the words were in red. And much of the Old Testament comes into mind, too, because they coincide very well. But right now, you're looking at an article. And it's something we saw before. We saw Mount Hermon taken by the Israeli troops. We saw them move into Syria a little deeper, creating a buffer zone. And now what they're saying, this was this afternoon, 1:45 p.m., Syria suffers massive Israeli strikes hours after Jilani demanded withdrawal. Now, he's one of the, I guess, new leaders of the situation with the opposition there. It says just hours after Syria's new Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, leadership demanded the immediate withdrawal of Israeli forces from seized portions of Syria, Israel launched huge airstrikes across the south and outside of Damascus. I'm going to talk about prophecy. Israel, in a rare confirmation of the overnight airstrike, said its warplane struck military targets in southern Syria, including headquarters and sites containing weapons. He added, the presence of military assets and forces in the southern part of Syria constitutes a threat to Israeli citizens. And again, since they took over Mount Hermon, they have been building that buffer zone further out. They're not as much worried about Hezbollah as they were, but they knew all of that comes from Iran. It's all a proxy situation from there. And what they're doing is getting ready for an attack from Iran, guys, that is very biblical. Israel began what looks to be an open-ended occupation of Syrian land extending to the Syrian side of Mount Hermon, following the ouster of Bashar al-Assad on December 8th. That's what we're talking about. Washington has endorsed the ongoing occupation as defensive in nature. And that's true enough. But that buffer zone, guys, is defensive. Let's just say that. But it has to be open from both ends because of what is happening. And guys, we're about to see a lot of trouble coming down as all eyes are basically on the U.S., Doge, and hoping for reform. And we're seeing it, 99% of it. We've got a few problems like we talked about. But the world has hope for the first time in a long time. Anyway, they're saying that given that Syria had for over half a century been Israel's number one Iran-aligned foe and long had the best anti-air defenses in the region, Israel has sought to make sure it can never recover to that status again. Defense Minister Israel Katz said in a statement late on Tuesday, yesterday, that the attacks were part of a new policy of ensuring a demilitarized southern Syria. They need that buffer zone for what's coming. He warned that any attempt by Syrian forces or other militant groups to establish a presence in Israel's occupied security zone in the region will be met with fire. And there will be fire the roars from Zion. Think in Mount Carmel will wither. But that corridor there also needs to be an open air corridor. You'll see why before the video's over. Said Israel is firebombing Damascus while the IDF invade Daras province, basically taking over Syria. That's why Damascus will be in ruins, because either Israel will destroy it, or because right now they're on the southern side of it, it will be destroyed within a battle. Pull this down. says, with the Syrian army disbanded and collapsed, and after military bases have been largely decimated by weeks of Israeli strikes, the country is completely defenseless against the Israeli attacks. Of course, this was always the ultimate aim of the NATO, Gulf, Israel alliance, and conspiracy to overthrow Assad over the course of the last 11 years. It was never about democracy or human rights or actual concern for the Syrian people. What war is? Name one. It's a war machine, continuing its operation, grinding. It was tragic and brutal proxy war, plain and simple to install a pliant Sunni regime, kind of like Zelensky. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu this week told an AIPAC conference that he plans to keep Israeli troops in southern Syria for the foreseeable future. He's not going to give that land back. He needs the air corridor. You're going to see why. Another bit of information, let's say, coming out this afternoon. Now, Tel Aviv has warned of threats from Syria, even as self-declared President Ahmed al-Shara Jolani has since taken over Damascus, mostly avoided saying anything negative about Israel. The population has meanwhile grown angry that the new rulers have left the country helpless in the face of Israeli aggression. Guys, they really have no choice, because now that Trump's in town, Israel has a much greater friend. Let's just say that. Now, here's why I did this, the first part of the video, guys, to get to this part. Because it says Iranian nuke sites are on high alert. This is this afternoon at 1:05 p.m. for stealth jet attacks, enriched uranium stockpiles near level for bomb. In other words, they've been monitoring how much uranium Iran has. And in the new charts, they're right at the level they need to create a nuclear weapon. And their motto, guys, it's like any warrior's motto in a way. You die for your country, even if it's right or wrong. And that's what we're starting to see. It says Iran has placed its missile defense system. They're saying Iran nuke sites are on high alert. That's why I did the first part of this video, guys. This is also this afternoon, 1:05 p.m. Iranian nuke sites on high alert for stealth jet attacks. Enriched uranium stockpiles are near level for a bomb. They've been keeping up with their supposed watchdogs or nuclear watchdogs, saying that they've got this much, and then a few months later they got this much, up to a point where they have enough for a nuclear bomb. And that's what they're saying here. Now, whether or not that's true, we don't know. We got a war machine continually trying to make itself relevant by grinding human populations into the dust. Iran has placed its missile defense systems on high alert, anticipating a potential Israel, catch this, and U.S. airstrikes on nuclear sites. They both said, Trump and Netanyahu, they will not allow a nuclear Iran. It says the two high-level government sources that say Tehran has been expanding missile defense coverage around nuclear and missile sites for fear of potential joint military strikes by stealth fighters by Israel and the U.S. In other words, there's sites, and there's a map. There's sites all over Iran. Some are thought to be nuclear sites. Some are nuclear chemical sites. Some are launch sites or whatever. They're all marked, but they don't know about every one of them yet, or they're saying they don't. The Iranian authorities are just waiting for the attack and are anticipating, and every night and everything has been on high alert, even in sites that no one knows about. Work to fortify the nuclear sites has been ongoing for years. And guys, we've had satellites over the top of them. They've had it over the top of us and Israel and so on and so forth. It has intensified over the past year, particularly since Israel launched the first attack. And that Israel was responding to the October 7th attack, 7th attack. And now there was a lot of conflict about information when that started out. A delay in the Israeli military coming on scene for a couple of hours, things like that. And we have seen people stand up with a little yellow vial in their hand in the Capitol and say, Iraq has this yellow stuff in this vial. Was it Colin Powell? And so we need to go over there and kill millions. And it turned out to be a lie. Colin Powell admitted it. So we got this. We cannot negate the fact that we've been lied to from every direction. Okay, that's why I'm pulling in these other things. Colin Powell did it, finally admitted it. Are we seeing that now? We really don't know if they are that close to getting. They may have enough uranium converted into the uranium stockpiles, guys. We don't know. But either way, the U.S. and Israel are dedicated to not letting that happen. So would it be preemptive? And that would be the safest way? Possibly so. It says, again, recent developments, including Donald Trump's comments and reports about potential plans from his administration to strike Iran, has further intensified activities. In other words, again, is the satellite's probably picking up some movement. Now let's take a look at this map, guys, right here. And it's showing Iran. You got Saudi Arabia here, Iraq, Turkey, there's the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan. And in this graph, I don't know how good you can see it, it's the yellow areas that are right here. You see these at the very bottom, Yaz and Esfahan. These are research-related sites. Are they developing the uranium so that it can be put into a bomb? Then you got raw material related sites, and that's these areas right in the brown circles. It's almost like a wheelbarrow with some type of minerals in it. Anyway, Anorak, Kandab, you see these Tabriz, Banab. So the northwestern section of Iran has a lot of raw materials in these areas. Now, we saw what happened with the oil in Iraq, right? Also, a lot of historical information was robbed and pillaged out of Iraq after Colin Powell held up that vial. But are we about, now I'm not pro-Iranian, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at both sides because it always comes out several years later. Korea, Pearl Harbor, Vietnam, it was all a fake setup to start a war. So let's keep that in mind. It's always better to be safe than sorry, especially with the history of the leaders of this planet. You get down into your nuclear symbols down here, the black circles. These are enrichment related sites. Com and Tans here, Artican, the Lashkar Abad, Ramaday here. You can see these. So you've got a mixture from there to reactors, which are in the green here. We got 2 nuclear reactors that I see, and then suspected sites have question marks, like Darkhan here in Iraq. They don't know what's here. Tehran. Are these, what's happening here? Are they storage sites? Are they silos? Just don't know. But this is what they're looking at. And so we're right on. It's such a balance, guys, between the military-industrial complex pushing something, Iran promising to destroy Israel, and the devil of the West, demons of the West, Satan of the West, whatever it is, and a preemptive strike, and a lot of raw materials. So if they're going to come into Iran, if you look at it, they're scattered all over the area. The raw materials are. So it would not surprise me if we see some stealth aircraft strikes from both the IDF and the U.S. into Iran. But the main question would be, what would the response be from the Islamic nations, the Arab nations, when this goes down? Again, these question marks are concerning. What do they have there that can be launched in retaliation? Now, we know also, and thank you, Pastor Paul, a very good message today about the 3.5 years that Judah or Jerusalem in that area would be overrun. 3.5 years there in the last days. So any kind of event like this could trigger that 42 months. That's why I wanted to come here and talk about this, guys. A long, kind of drawn-out video, I understand it. But we're in times to where we can't just focus on one thing. Things are kind of rosy. Here in the U.S., we have hope now. At least it's not going downhill like a snowball rolling to hell, as Merle Haggard said, with the Biden administration. But so now, is this a true peace plan? In other words, take out the people that are constantly edging on nuclear war and promises of nuclear destruction. Are we about to see that be part of the peace? You know where I'm going, right? So it's time to pay very close attention, guys. That's what I'm trying to do here. There's a lot of information. It's hard to put it all together. But we're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up, guys. Be safe.